story behind it. How do we get started with it? You know, I've got partner in crime here, LeAnne.
Hey, what's going on?
And I'm LeAnne, and we're just so excited about this concept called Women with Grit, where we interview just exceptional women within the community and around the world who are doing phenomenal things. So how do we get started with this concept, Lee?
Well, I think ultimately it was a reaction to COVID. We were literally working on a different concept that involved women and really helping women have the opportunities to progress in their careers, and we're really putting something together to do that. And we had all these people lined up to interview and to get information from, and COVID happened. And so.
That changed life for everyone.
It did, and so for us, we were talking one day, and so we were talking about what we're doing, and I said, I'm thinking about doing this podcast, and I'm thinking about doing this, and you said, okay, let's do it. And so Women with Grit came.
There it is. Big on execution, we make it happen.
Yes, so it's been exciting.
Yes, it has. We've had just phenomenal guests even over the last year, and looking forward to all that's coming ahead. So how can they reach us?
They can reach us on YouTube, Exceptional Women with Grit. You can subscribe to our page. You can check out our Facebook page, Women with Grit, or you can go to our website, womenwithgrit.com.
That's it.
And the best way to catch us is Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Time, when Sherelle and I are live with our guests. And literally, I think the most exciting thing for me is what we talked about. We wanted to have a program that addressed that brought in women from around the world. So that's our globe here. We literally interview people in Bogota, Colombia, over in London, and then all over the United States as well. So that's been exciting. That's one of the benefits of COVID. Everybody's used to this virtual world, and nobody feels like they have to fly in to be live in the studio.
That's right. So hopefully you will join us live or catch the replay, right?
The replays, that's right. We have a bunch of replays, and I mean, if I were you, I would binge listen. People binge watch on Netflix, binge listen and watch Women with Grit. There have been some phenomenal interviews and some phenomenal tips that will help anyone. We have men and women that watch.
That's right.
And I think the tips that you get, the things that you learn from these women that are our guests will help anyone advance their careers, advance their lives, and just really live a full life and a happy life. And I think that's exciting.
Yes, I will agree 100%. So if you're interested, definitely join us, follow us, engage with us, like us, share it, all of those things. And if you know a phenomenal woman or a woman with grit that you would recommend being on the show, be sure that you write us on any one of those forums, and a member of our team will get back to you.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you have a product or service, a company that you want to promote or a cause, give us a shout. We're happy to do that. There is a cost. But it's not much, not yet. So you better get in while it's cheap.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you. And so far, we'll see you online.
Talk to you later. Peace.
Bye. Well, hey there. Hello in TV, YouTube, Facebook land. It is LeAnne actually spinning in the big chair this afternoon with Women with Grit. Chime in, let me know what city and state you are joining in from. As you can see, my partner in crime is not here. He is doing family business. We do believe in family, right? And so he is handling it. But guess what? You're in good hands. And we are here to have a wonderful time this evening interviewing another amazing woman with grit. So I want you guys to do me a favor. If you see me, go ahead and like, share this. You guys know what time it is. Go ahead and grab your beverage of choice, your snacks, strap in, because we are in for a wonderful time this evening. We have another amazing woman with grit by the name of LeAnne Constantine, and you guys are in for a real treat. So I want to make sure that as you are in the house, make sure that you drop your name and what city and state you're joining in from. Hey, Sharonda in Nashville. Guys, my mom is on. Hey, Mom. Brenda, Miami in the house, as well as is it Judah Beast from South Korea. Awesome. Thank you all for joining in as well. Go ahead and leave the city and state or country that you are joining in from. We're just so excited to have you on as we talk to another amazing woman with grit. So, as you all know, this is the season where we talk a lot about being thankful. So, what are you thankful for as you think about this year, which has been a very tumultuous year? What is one of the things that you are thankful for this year when you look at just 2020 as a whole? I mean, so many of us have had, just different transitions in terms of life and jobs and relationships and health, etc. Right? There's so much to be thankful for. What's something that you are just simply thankful for when you think about it? Drop that in the chat. Would love to engage with you guys. You know me. I love the ability to talk back, and so do our guests. So anyway, I'm going to jump into it. But before I do, we want to make sure that we take an opportunity to thank our amazing sponsors for a show such as this. So I want to make sure that we thank Lisa at MJC Insurance, and she can be reached at 615-873-1988 or Lisa at mjcins.com. Well, they will shop over 30 companies to get the right homeowners, auto, as well as workers' comp for you. Then there's Lauren at Moulette Investment Services for all of your benefit planning needs, 401k, disability, medical, as well as dental. And she can be reached at 615-627-0968 or Lauren at MouletteInvestmentServices.com. And then, of course, we've got Mr. Terrell Perry. And Terrell can be reached at Terrell at MouletteInvestmentServices.com. Wealth plan for all of your wealth planning, life insurance, long-term care. And he can be reached at 615-627-0968. And guys, with Vision Strategy Management, where we just believe in enabling teams and businesses who truly succeed, our sweet spot is in execution. We believe in seeing things through from concept all the way through to implementation. And that's our sweet spot. And we can be reached at www.visionstrategymanagement.com. And then, guys, I got a special request. Only if you feel obliged, right? If you've been following me and you know that when you invest in me, you invest in we, because everything that you give specifically within me goes out as well. But I was nominated for an award called the Rice Awards for the Rising Founders. And only if you feel obliged, I want to ask that you go to thericeawards.com, click on the vote and vote for me. And again, as you invest in me, you invest in we. Those who know me know that I believe in the ability of investing in future generations and continuing to give back as well. So that's all of the announcements I have. Now, I know that you guys didn't come to hear me talk. I know you guys came to hear another inspiring and amazing story by the woman of grit of the hour, and her name is LeAnne Constantine. So I'm going to read to you her bio, and then we're going to bring her up and have a fun conversation. But again, I want you guys to talk back with me. Make sure that you engage in the chat function. As you all know, and you know us very well by this point, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. We will go ahead to bring them up to our guests throughout the show or at the end of the show. All right. So LeAnne Constantine has been in real estate since 2004. First, on the new construction side as a selection specialist for a custom home builder, and then as a licensed license agent in 2009. She obtained her broker's license in 2014 and served several years as a principal broker in the Brentwood, Tennessee firm area. LeAnne is an award-winning agent and has consistently won yearly awards for both production and exceptional customer service. Her background in design is a great benefit to her sellers in getting their homes ready for market. She has been featured in several publications, including Williamson County Notables, Luxury Home Magazine, and Your Williamson. LeAnne has served on the board of directors for Williamson County Association for Realtors, as well as the position as vice chair for the Tennessee chapter of Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. In June of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, LeAnne and Tim Turner joined forces to create Constantine Turner Real Estate. And Turner is the owner of T2 Engineering and T2 Survey. Without further ado, I would love to introduce to you and bring to the stage Miss LeAnne Constantine. Hi, LeAnne. How are you? It is awesome. How are you this evening?
I'm wonderful, and congratulations to you for your nomination for your award. And I did vote for you.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate that so much, LeAnne. And thank you so much for taking the time to share your story and to be on our show this evening. And just before the show, you guys, we were talking about the beautiful painting that she has on her wall. Isn't it amazing? I love the aspect of abstract art. Like you can literally pull out of it
Here,
any
let me roll out of
depiction.
the way.
It's really beautiful. I mean, you can really, you can come up with so many different things from what you see on the wall. And it's really up to the viewer to determine what they see. I see dancers. I see, a night scene. I see, just the aspects of so much. So I love abstract art.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
I really love that painting. And I was telling Sherelle, my children said it was terrifying. Not
Yeah.
sure where that comes from, but I personally love it. So
well, awesome for that, and thank you again. As you see, Lee's not here, but he sends his, his feedback and his thoughts, and definitely the aspect his regrets for not being able to be here. But we are going
family
to
comes first, always.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, LeAnne, I am not going to belabor the point because people came here to hear from you. So, tell us about you and tell us about your unique story of grit.
Well, and I do have a story of grit. I don't know how unique it is, honestly, because I think there are many women who chose the path that I chose. We got married young, right out of college. We both had careers. I had a career in pharmaceuticals. My husband was in financial services, and he got his promotion first. So we started moving all over the country. We had children, and I ended up giving up my career to be home with the kids because they needed that stability, and it was something I wanted to do. But I've never been that person that was enthralled with household management. That was not particularly my skill set. So
Yeah.
I always needed to work. So I ended up being a copy editor, proofreader for 6 major publishing houses. And that was an amazing job while the kids were growing up. It was portable. It went with all the moves. I could do it at night or when they were in school or whatever. And that job actually really trained me for reviewing the contracts and the legal documents that I have to deal with now in real estate. So it all just kind of worked out perfect.
Yeah.
But as we did all that moving about, I started out with a custom home builder, and I was the selections person, the design person, and I loved doing that. And that's what created my love for real estate. So I got my license in 2009. It was in the midst of the housing crash, market crisis.
Yes, that's right.
Everybody said, "You're crazy. Like, why are you doing this?" But my viewpoint was, okay, everybody who's really a slacker will step out of this market and it'll be a more open path. And that actually turned out to be the case. And it was really hard. I'll admit that was a hard and a tough market to try to start creating a career, and building a database was tough. So I started just reaching out to everybody I knew that was successful: lender, title attorney, real estate agent, anybody who would let me pick their brain. I went for it, and I just said, "Can you tell me how this industry works? Tell me what I need to do to get this." And people were so generous with their time and so helpful. And these people have proved to be indispensable to me in building my database. And so in no time, like in less than 2 years, I was winning awards for sales volume, and it wasn't me. I mean, it's the people you surround yourself with. It's the gratitude that you have while you're doing this that truly makes a difference in any job, I think. And at any rate, my timing was bad when I started my career, but it wasn't bad. And now with this company, I started this company in the middle of the pandemic, and just prior to my 60th birthday, when everybody else I knew was retiring, and I'm just getting started. And it's been amazing. So in the year that we've been in business, we've grown from 2 agents to 20, which
Wow.
is familiar with real estate at all, it is a numbers game, and the number of people you have within your organization helps you in your creativity, in your production, in your branding, your market awareness. And I have an amazing team. I'm so proud of these people, and we have developed such a collaborative work environment where we support each other as a team with mutual respect and mutual support. And it's been amazing.
That's fantastic. And the mere fact that, so in not only in the housing crash of 2008, did you seize the opportunity and see the win in being able to get into the market during a time when people were bailing, but you almost did the exact same thing when it came to starting your business during the height of a pandemic.
I always kind of go against the flow. It's just who I am.
No, but you know what I love about that is finding the opportunity even in the midst of the storm. It's being able to see the opportunity when all else would see failure. And I think that that's wonderful that you've been able to do that. And not only that, because you've seized the opportunity, you grew your business from 20 agents, from 2 agents during the midst of loss to 20. What is one thing when you were kind of working through that, as you talked about it, while everyone else has, been kind of hunkering in, what was one thing that you attribute to the success of how you've been able to go from maybe 2 agents to 20?
Mm-hmm. I honestly don't know how to answer that. Yeah. Other than I think just like me, all of us stepped back during the pandemic and we said, okay, is this going to be our new normal? Is this going to be our life? And if we are trapped in this, what do we really want to do? Mm-hmm. And I think there were a lot of people who just said, all right, now's the time for me to just throw it out there and make a change, do things I want to do. And so our business model, the collaborative model, the fact that we focus somewhat on new construction, I think we just drew a lot of people who were ready to make a change that in ordinary times might have seemed risky, but in these times, it's almost like, why not?
Right. Yeah. And I love that, the shift of the mindset from why to why not. Because when we focus on the aspect of why not, then we naturally solve for the barriers that would be in the way to get to the solution. So I love that. When we ask ourselves why, we find all the reasons why we can't. But if we shift the mindset and we talk about, well, why not? Then it's about knocking down those barriers. So I love the fact that you have said that. Now, when you think about your journey and you think about those that have inspired you along the way, because you talked about the people that you've had in your corner and the people who you surround yourself with, who have been some of those influential or inspirational people that you've kept in your corner as you have navigated your career?
That's been so many, but I will say my parents were always an inspiration for me. They were a product of their era and their upbringing. They did not grow up affluently, but my mother was an avid learner. She didn't go to college, but she was just an avid learner and was a stickler for just kind of getting it right academically. And my dad was a rocket scientist for NASA, and they raised us to believe that, my sister and I, that we could do anything we wanted to do in this world if we wanted to do it badly enough. So they gave us a tremendous amount of confidence, and they also gave us the responsibility that your success is on you. Mm-hmm. Like whatever you want to do, that you can do it, but that's on you. And that's empowering in an odd sort of way.
And can you elaborate on that when you said your success is on you? When it comes to, I guess, being able to move in that, can you share with our viewers a little bit more about what you mean when you say your success is on you?
So the way we were raised, it's like you have within you, every human being has within them a skill set that is uniquely theirs and it is God given.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in touch with that skill set, you can do whatever you want to do with it. You just have to want it. You have to want it and you have to go after it, because motivation, I think, is probably the strongest force in the universe.
Wow. So being able to take the reins, be self-motivated, to recognize that there is a skill set that only you have that you can manifest in the world, and be willing to acknowledge that the success of utilizing it is truly on you.
Yes. And not letting other people, like, honestly, it never occurred to me, because of my upbringing, and bear in mind, I'm growing up in the 70s when sexism was like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And discrimination against women was huge. All kinds of discrimination was huge. It never crossed my mind that I couldn't do something because I was a woman.
Yeah.
That never crossed my mind because of my upbringing. Now, I did run up against that a bit in the early 80s, but in those days, you just kind of, when that happened, you just put people in their place and you just kept going. Now, should you have had to do that? No. But did it stop you? Not necessarily. All those are circumstantial situations, but that was just the mindset I was raised with. Like, my dad used to tell me, he would say, if I put you on a flat rock, you'd find a way to farm it. So
that's the mindset, though.
Yeah, I always took that as a compliment, so I just went with it.
Yeah, I see that as a compliment as well. It's like you take whatever the situation or the circumstance is, no matter how hard it is, and you find a way to gain prosperity, fruit, vegetation from it. So that's phenomenal. And I think that speaks to the strength of not only that, but who you are as an individual. Now, when it comes to, building a business, building ourselves, and being able to be successful, whether we're women or men, et cetera, because we do have quite a bit of men that actually watch the show. What would you say? Did you ever doubt yourself along the way in your process? And if so, how did you overcome it, that doubt or that self-limiting belief?
Yes, I absolutely would have moments of self-doubt, and I think everyone does.
Yeah.
And I had to take the approach that self-doubt is a feeling, like sadness is a feeling, and feelings are just feelings. They are not truth.
Yeah.
I just have to cling to that idea. But I think everyone has those voices in their head that, get in your way.
Yeah.
And you just have to, like, okay, I hear you. And now you can go take your seat, because I'm just going to do this.
That's right. And I love the fact that you said feelings are feelings. They're not the truth. And so that gives us the ability to seek beyond what we feel. I practice what is called the pause principle. And when my son was, as young as I could remember, I started teaching him the principle of taking deep breaths, counting. And It's funny because I remember some of my friends, and they were like, well, he's too young to understand what that means. I said, perhaps, however, I do believe in teaching life skills at a very young age that they can carry as they get older. And the mere fact that, what you said is the aspect of feelings are feelings, they're not truth. Sometimes we do need a minute, or we do need a moment to pause, where we recognize what is the truth in how I'm feeling, or to be able to assess what is this feeling, the emotional attachment behind it, and why am I feeling that way? And then what is the truth behind it? And so I love the fact that you said that, especially when it comes to overcoming self-limiting beliefs.
And I am so glad that you mentioned that about your son, because my daughter-in-law, and I just love this, our oldest grandson, when he gets excited, she says, okay, we're going to take a breath. And he's, when children are little, they're very literal and they just do whatever. And she says, we're going to take a breath. And he goes, and I just love it. He's 3. And I'm like, already she's giving him these life skills. And I just think it's fantastic.
It is. And it carries them through, because rather than emote, it's the whole stop and think about it. And it's the aspect of taking a moment or a breath, which in life, when we face difficulties or when we face challenges, we have to identify healthy ways of coping or healthy ways of navigating that difficult circumstance so that we don't emote over it or just so that we don't act irrationally with it.
And feelings are not who we are. Feelings are something we are experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to acknowledge that you have that feeling and let it pass, because that feeling is not you. It's just something you are experiencing at that moment. And so to me, that's where I've had to throw self-doubt in order to deal with that.
Yeah, and be able to recognize it in such a way to get through it. So then now you're in the real estate market, which obviously is a very competitive environment. And there are just so many aspects that really like the success of an agent is, I think, in direct proportion of their confidence that they have within themselves and the belief in the product or not the product, but the ability for them to sell or manifest a home. And I think that is so important when it comes to being successful. So what do you feel are some of the core attributes to be successful in real estate, whether you're a woman or anyone in general?
Well, I think for anyone, not just in real estate, but across the board, gratitude. Generosity is huge. And so I speak back to all those people who were generous with their time in helping me, who had no business, but helping me understand how to get business. These people took time out of their day to share with me. And the real estate community in the Middle Tennessee area, everyone is extremely generous in that respect. And I think it's just speaks to who we are as a people here. But I also feel like confidence, not just confidence in yourself, but confidence in the process and confidence in life. All of that leads to just a trust element that things are going to work out. You just have to be patient. You have to keep everyone around you patient. You are the oil on the waters, and you're dealing with people, you're dealing with their emotions, you're dealing with their money. So it's your job to imbue that sense of trust into everyone. Now, sometimes things don't always work out, but our job is to keep it from becoming contentious, excited, inflamed. There's enough emotion there already. So we don't need to be competitive with the other side or stirring things up. And so I think that confidence in the process is important. And humility is important, because you learn something. I don't care how long you've been doing this, you will learn something from every transaction you are engaged in, every single time, till you're 100.
Yes. So. And I love the fact, everything that you've given operates from a place of selflessness, almost gratitude, and being able to be grateful for what you have. Like you said, generosity, and being generous with your time, being generous with the resources that you have and the ability to share, which goes beyond yourself and it is an extension of that community, being patient in the process and knowing that it will work out the way that it is supposed to work out. And humility is so important. And I think that when I look at the market as a whole, specifically in Tennessee, it is such a competitive market when it comes to getting homes, right? There are so many people moving there every single day. And
there's a lot of greed out there.
Huh?
There's a lot of greed out there right now.
There is, but the mere fact that you said as an agent, the ability to make sure that the space is neutral, comfortable, and does not become contentious speaks to the credibility of how you choose to operate and not focus on just closing a sale. Because I think it's about the long-term relationships that you create and the meaningfulness of them. So I appreciate that. And I love the fact that you said, be the oil. Be the oil. and the ability to make sure that you keep things lubricated and moving in the right fashion. At least that's what I took away from it. Is that what you meant?
That is exactly what I meant. And part of our mission statement as a company is that we are all about helping you through the transition and not just the transaction.
I love that.
Moving, regardless of the circumstances, moving is extremely stressful. It's one of the top 5 stressors on the psychology list. I don't know whose list it is, but it's very, very difficult. And the moving could be a job move. It could be a divorce. It could be loss of a home because of finances. There's so many emotional factors that are involved that you are literally helping people transition. This is not just a transaction that you get paid for. And if you look at it that way, you're just not doing it right.
I love that you said that. This is about the transition and not the transaction, which speaks to relationship, and it speaks to
Absolutely
the longevity of that. And I love to hear you say that, because there's an experience that is created when you purchase a home or a piece of property, et cetera, that extends beyond just the transaction. I love that. Oh my goodness. LeAnne, you wouldn't believe that we are beyond halfway done with our segment. So I want to pull you back, give you an opportunity to grab some water. I'm going to thank our sponsors, and you have questions that are already funneling into the chat function. So when we come back, I want to be sure to ask those questions to you. In the meantime, one of the questions that I want you to think about while you are away on break, and that I'll be sure to ask you when we come back, is, as a leader in real estate or in corporate in general, what do you feel is missing when it comes to supporting women in general? So that'll be the question that I ask when we come right back, but I'm going to pull you backstage for just a moment, okay?
Okay.
Wow. So what an amazing first half we've had with LeAnne Constantine. Hey, listen, thank you guys for taking the time to join into Women with Grit. Tonight, we have LeAnne Constantine, an award-winning real estate agent, on with us tonight. If you guys are getting something from the session, be sure to leave some comments in the chat function. You guys know I love chatter. And again, as the more engaged you are, the more compelled we are to continue to give free things away. And so we're just so excited to have you here this evening. Again, share this specific show. If you know someone who could benefit from the information that is being shared, go ahead and do so. You can reach us on Facebook with Exceptional Women with Grit. You can reach us on LinkedIn. You can reach us on YouTube. If you just go to Google and type in Exceptional Women with Grit, you will find that we will come up and be able to go back and share and look at some of the previous guests that we've had as well, especially as we start moving into this specific time of year. And then again, you guys, I asked you at the very beginning of the show, what are you grateful for? I don't think I've seen anything yet. Just know I'm keeping my eyes on the chat function. So I want to hear from you guys, right? You know, I love the talk back and the chatter. So we want to make sure that we are gaining that. And then again, if you have any questions for LeAnne, be sure to leave them in the chat function. I see a couple of them have already come in. Thank you, Sharonda. Thank you, Brenda. We'll go ahead and make sure that we get those questions asked. So whichever forum you're on, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or if you're connecting in from the website, wherever you find yourself in the world, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to share this as well. So again, we want to take this moment to thank our sponsors, right? Our sponsors this evening are Lisa at MJC Insurance, and she can be reached at 615-873-1988 or Lisa at mjcins.com, where they will shop over 30 companies to get you the right homeowners, auto, as well as workers' comp. Lauren at Moulette Investment Services for all of your benefit planning needs, 401k, disability, medical, and dental. This is not the season to be without. So make sure that you give them a call at 615-627-0968 or Lauren at MouletteInvestmentServices.com or Mr. Terrell Perry. And Terrell can be reached at Terrell, TERRELL at MouletteInvestmentServices.com for all of your wealth planning, life insurance, long-term care needs. Listen, GoFundMe is not a solution for long-term planning, care needs, or as it relates to life planning. So we want to make sure that we've got some real things in place to help make sure that we are solid, as well as and things are in order for our families as well. And he can be reached at 615-627-0968. And then, of course, again, with Vision Strategy Management, if you've got a business and you're looking at growing your organization, or if you're in a space where you're feeling stagnant, not really knowing what to do next, listen, reach out to us. There's plenty of free resources, even on the website, www.visionstrategymanagement.com. And again, my two plugs again, you guys, I was recommended for an award, community award. And as you know, for me, when you invest and when you vote for me, you're really voting for we, because I take from one hand and give to the next. In that aspect. And so if you feel obliged and you feel compelled to, please vote for me at thericeawards.com. And I would be most grateful. And then last but not least, book number 4 is on its way to you. So stay tuned for that. That is coming very, very soon. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Again, I'm going to bring up LeAnne as we move into the second half. What an amazing time we've had, even in the first. I've got so many nuggets of great things that we are going to recap on in just a second. So, hey, LeAnne, welcome back.
Hello.
Okay, so the question that I had for you is, when you think about, as a leader in real estate, or even in corporate America, what do you feel is missing in order to support women better?
So, we talked about a few things before the broadcast, and that was one of the things we discussed. And in looking at that, I feel like corporate America is missing the boat, not just with women, but with individuals in general. And I think what corporate America is missing is in integrity, accountability, and respect. Respect for the people that work for you, male, female, whatever identifying factor you want to apply. Respect for the people that work for you. Integrity, like as a corporation, doing what is right, not what is economically expedient or profitable, and accountability. And that's speaking to the employees. Do your work well or find other work. So corporate America as a whole, those are the 3 things I feel that are missing.
That
applies to women or men.
Yes. And that could really preach. I mean, that really resonated with me. Integrity, accountability, and respect. That can go so far in so many aspects and industries, not only with corporate America, but within our relationships with one another, and the ability to really grow and build. So I agree.
If you think about any corporation, what is your greatest resource? It is your people.
Your people.
And if you do not treat your people well, your productivity, like think about the layers that are within corporations. Yeah. There's a lot of dead layers. People are being wasted in that space, whether those people are being lazy, or whether they're just not placed well, or whether they're not being treated right. You've got all these layers that aren't functioning. Yeah. But your people are your greatest resource. And if I can speak out for a minute, discrimination takes a lot of forms. And one of the biggest forms that I see in corporate America, in real estate and other places, is age discrimination.
And that's not often talked about.
It's not often talked about, but you hit 50, and I don't care if you're a man, woman, or vegetable, they start phasing you out for a lot of different reasons. Yeah. Some of them obvious, some of them not so obvious. Some of them are based on the fact that you've got this big salary and they can get 2 younger people to do your job for half the price. But regardless of that, America is obsessed with celebrity and youth, and neither of those things are inherently useful.
Celebrity and youth.
We're focused on things that are not particularly useful. Other countries value the wisdom and the experience of their elders, socially, professionally, and otherwise. I feel like corporate America is missing that boat. I have an opportunity to talk to people 30 and under often, and they feel in America the bar has been set so high, socially, professionally. They're just like, we can't do this. We can't do what our parents did. This is too hard. And they're not wrong. It is very hard. But I feel like corporate America has a huge opportunity. Instead of laying off everyone that's over 50, starting some kind of program where those people in their jobs can mentor these people coming into the workplace, showing them how to shoulder that burden of, I don't want to use the word adulting because that's not right, but life is hard. And I think this current generation, people tried to pave things for them, and it's difficult now. And those skills can be taught by people that are older. The opportunity to mentor these people coming in is huge. And I think it would increase productivity in every corporation if you kept on your people over 50, because they're obviously doing their jobs well, and let them mentor the new people coming in. I mean, their wisdom, their creativity, their professional experience, their savvy in the business would do nothing but increase productivity across the board.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to look at other countries in that respect.
That's
and again,
really,
that would benefit women and men and everyone.
that's good. And to your point, it's not often talked about, but it is definitely felt, especially as you start to see things like baby boomers retiring out of the workforce. And then, the generation, I think we're on Y or Z, but the younger generations who are not seeking to go into the workforce and are seeking alternative paths, that creates, I think, a big, a complex issue that would need to be resolved. And we're in the cusp of the whole gig economy, so to speak, where everyone's kind of cultivating a different path. So it becomes, to your point, more important to have the conversation around how do we pass along the information, the knowledge of how to create sustainability within an organization to younger generations or others, so that the legacy and the businesses can continue. Otherwise, we find ourselves having to do things all over again without it being documented or processes being in place.
Exactly. We're going to have to reinvent the wheel because you don't get a trophy for showing up. I mean, life is hard. You just don't get a trophy for showing up, but showing up is half the battle.
That's right.
So you show up with your new job straight out of college, and whatever area you're in, whether it's logistics or communications or whatever it is within a corporation, you've got somebody who's been there 30 years who's going to say, okay, look, this is how it rolls. Because I've seen these changes. I've seen what's happened. Let's do this together. I don't know. I mean, I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but I just feel like there's a huge opportunity there to help everyone. I think it's a win-win corporately. I think our productivity would go up. Other countries do that. And I just feel like we're kind of behind the 8 ball on that.
I think that's a good one. Definitely worth exploring for sure. Especially when it comes to the transfer of knowledge, transition planning, so to speak.
Exactly. Transition, not just the transaction. It applies everywhere.
Exactly. Okay, so Sharonda has a question for you, because I want to make sure that I grab the questions from the audience that came in. So Sharonda says, what is your greatest stumble that helped you become better? So what's something that you stumbled along the way in your career that actually helped you to become a better person?
Oh, wow. Gosh, Sharonda, there's been a lot of those. Every transaction helps me become a better person, literally. But when I first started, I spent days and days with this wonderful, sweet family that wanted to buy a house. And on the 5th day, the man told me that he had quit his job like a month ago. And you can't buy a house without a job. And I never asked him about that. And that's not a bust on him. That's a bust on me, because I should have sat down with those people and said, where are you financially? What is your job status? What is this? But I was really new, and I didn't understand that I needed to do that. So I didn't serve them well in that. And they are actually still clients today, and we got it all worked out, but it took years. But that was huge. That was a huge learning moment for me, that I had not asked the right questions at the beginning. And it was extremely embarrassing. And I'm so grateful for the experience, because I do ask a lot of questions at the outset now.
And I like that you said that. And I wrote that down because that can be applicable in careers for students who are going from, college into the workplace, is really asking the right questions. Because sometimes we can jump into things and we're eager to make a difference. We're eager to get involved. And there's so many things that can be prevented in terms of roadblocks or headaches or heartaches or stumbling along the way, if we're asking the right questions up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these people didn't intend to waste my time. They didn't understand the process really any better than I did. But there are people out there too who will waste your time. And so if you don't ask the right questions, you can't suss any of that out. So that was a huge learning curve for me.
That's good. Okay, I've got another one for you. So this one's from Brenda. This is my mom, guys. So, hey, Mom.
Hey,
She says women in the 70s had a difficult time being recognized for their many talents and abilities, and most were passed over or ignored. What were some of the roadblocks you encountered as a woman while building your business, and what would you do differently?
Brenda, that's a wonderful question. And I have a two-part answer to that. The first part answer is, in the 70s, I was still school age, but my father was a physicist for NASA. And he literally worked with the actual women who were portrayed in that movie, Hidden Figures. And those women came to our house for dinner, and I met them. And so I saw firsthand not just the difficulties of being a woman in the 70s, but the difficulties of being a woman of color. And that was a huge learning experience for me. When I started my own business, it was last year, and things are just so much better. So in terms of starting my business, I haven't had that kind of difficult time, but I certainly saw it growing up, and I saw it being in pharmaceutical work in the early 80s. And I'm not sure, but I think we might have lost our host. So I don't know where to go from here. And I'm trying to anticipate what other questions people might have. And I don't know what those would be, but I feel like discrimination against women in particular has improved greatly from where it was in the 70s.
That is awesome. Okay, so and then Brenda says, I applaud you for stepping out of your comfort zone at such a delicate age and becoming and growing a successful business from 2 to 20. Where do you find the energy? She said, there is still hope for me. I love it.
Yes, the energy. That is a huge, huge question. B12 complex for sure. Exercise, nutrition is huge. But honestly, it's all mental. It's just mental. Like, I feel in my head I'm the same person I was when I was 18. Now, my body may not always agree with me, but my head is there. And I'm just like, yeah, I can do that.
Yes.
I don't ever want to be any different from that.
Yeah. So it's a mindset thing plus a B12 thing.
The B12 is huge.
Making sure that we've got the ability to have both. Well, this has definitely been awesome, LeAnne. So I want to ask you, are there any nuggets that you would like to leave with our viewers? Anything that you feel that you'd love for them to know specifically as it relates to continuing to succeed and aspiring to be, whether men and women of grit?
The thing I would like to leave, and it's pretty simple, I would just like to say that authenticity opens doors. If you are your authentic self, regardless of the obstacles that society might put in your way because you're this or that, if you are your authentic self, then people are going to be drawn to you. And those obstacles, I feel like, could just melt away because people like you and want to help you in your journey. And I would just say, be yourself, whatever that is, be yourself.
Be yourself. I love that. Now I have one question. Hey, Lee's joining in, partner in crime, who's definitely doing family time, is in the chat function. So if you have any questions for him, be sure to ask him. He is on and definitely listening in and tuned in as well. So LeAnne, let's talk a little bit about just diversity, because it's been a conversation that we've had with a lot of our guests. The nature and the aspect of where things are as a country, et cetera. We can't, obviously get away from having the conversation around diversity. So as it relates to specifically your company or you, what are some of the things that you're doing to look into diversity or address diversity within your organizations?
All right. So I'm so glad you asked me that, because being new, we're spending a lot of money on advertising. We're getting a lot of photo shoots. Everyone shows up. We're all dressed nice. We all got the memo, the black shirts, the whatever. And we've had wonderful photos. And I looked at the last one that was on a magazine cover, and we were all these white faces. And we're beautiful white faces, and we're all very successful at what we do. And we have a wonderful culture within our office. It's just such a great, close-knit group. But I thought, we need some diversity here.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of Williamson County, and these are the people that have been brought to us and who have chosen to join us. But I feel like there were huge benefits to be gained by expanding our culture.
Yeah.
Not just from a culture perspective, but quite honestly, from a business perspective. There is a huge market for African-American business, for Asian business, for Latin business. I would love to have bilingual agents. That would just be so helpful. And so it's a very delicate situation, because how do you advertise for that? How do you reach out and say, I want these people? And I don't want diversity just for diversity's sake. I want diversity with people who are productive, like the people I already have, and can add to our culture economically, socially, culturally. But I want to be able to meet these people. I want to be able to have this conversation. I want to say, are you comfortable being in this Williamson County office with all these white faces? And I know that may sound really brash. I just don't know how else to present that. But yes, I would love to open that conversation with people. Absolutely.
I don't see it as brash. I see it as honest. It's an open conversation. And I can say that just being a woman in engineering, and for many, many years, you get used to just being one or the only in the room. But to your point, the mere fact that it's one that you're open to having, and I definitely want to make sure that you get a chance to connect with Lee and Kate. They have an organization called the Table Action. I hope it's .com or .org. Lee, please drop it in the chat function. I think it's .com. And that is the primary focus, which is just the ability to be a conduit, which makes connections in such a way. Because there's a lot of amazingly talented people who are just of different cultures and dynamics and et cetera. And sometimes it just takes a conduit to create an introduction.
And I feel like there's so much political conversation around this. There's so much social conversation around this.
Yeah.
But I feel like the way to begin to bridge or heal all of this is for us to work together, to be cohesive in one group.
Yeah.
And even though I'm just one little company, I thought if I can make a difference in that way, that is something that's important to me that I would like to do.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that it was an awareness and a recognition, because you didn't have to, but you did, and you see the value in it, and I think that is definitely great. So thank you, LeAnne.
It works out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you talked a little bit about the mindset of it, and I think that a lot of that has to do with mindset, or even just recognizing that sometimes the best way I could put it, this is a long but short analogy, was a course that I did called By Five by Five. I will always talk about By Five by Five, and it was literally just this simulation where the room was broken up into two separate groups. One group was taught one way, one culture, and then the other group was taught another culture without any instruction. The cultures were immersed one by one or two by two into each other, to one another. And from that introduction, what we found was that there was a lot of clash and perceptions and things of that nature that came about as a result of doing that. But in the discussion, we talked about, well, how did we arise to the place of one, the perception of one culture being pushy or the other one being, lackadaisical, or et cetera. And oftentimes it stemmed from our perception that we were projecting onto that respective culture. And I think that the more comfortable we are with even, looking within and saying, well, how do I show up and how do I create sensitivity around my own personal way of showing up with another person, the easier it becomes to have conversations. Because at the end of the day, there's some things that I think are basic truths, and that's, eat, sleep, shelter, right? The Pavlov's laws remain the same regardless of how they look, and finding common ground.
We are the same. And I've always wondered why different was threatening. Because it's always something that I found intriguing. And of course, when I say that, that makes me sound like I'm not trying to put myself out there in that way. But to me, differences were always rather fascinating. And I see just culturally, globally, differences can be perceived as threatening. And I've just always wondered how that happened.
Yeah. And for me, you said it best, but the way that I internalize it is different is different. And sometimes different translates to unknown. And sometimes we shy away from things that are unknown because the human aspect is one that seeks to control. And if we can't grasp control of it, it creates stress, and then that creates dopamine and all kinds of stuff from a psychological perspective. But I think that I love the fact that the conversation is around, well, how do I be a bridge in that? Even within my company, even within myself, how do I create an awareness in such a way that I can be a bridge and I can celebrate the fact that, different is good, and that there are aspects of different that help to make things stronger and more effective and better. So I definitely love and appreciate that you said that, LeAnne.
Well, that's something I really desire for our company, and so I'm working towards that end.
Awesome. So then, if you are interested, if you guys know of any diverse realtors or realtors that will be interested in joining with LeAnne, I'll make sure that I put her information in the chat function, which brings me to my next question, and we're already out of time. But LeAnne, so how can our viewers connect with you, engage with you? If someone is interested in learning more about you or your business, how can they reach you?
Well, our website is ConstantineTurnerRealEstate.com, which is a huge mouthful. So I'm hoping it's going to be printed somewhere on the video versions that go out there. My office number is 615-829-2552. And my cell number is 615-519-2064.
Give me your office number again, and I'll put that one in the chat function.
615-829-2552.
Awesome. So if you guys have any questions for LeAnne, you want to connect with her, her information is in the chat function. She can be reached at www.constantineturnerrealestate.com, or LeAnne can also be reached at 615-829-2552. LeAnne, this has been amazing. It's such a wonderful conversation. Absolutely. I'm going to do a quick recap of what I've captured, but feel free to jump in on anything that you feel I have missed. This has been such an amazing time. So again, our viewers, guys, we love feedback and chatter. If this has been impactful for you, if you know someone who could benefit from this information, be sure to share it with them. But I want to hear from you. Drop a line, drop one word that this session has meant to you, one word to embody what this session has meant to you in the chat function. That's my ask for you guys. In the meantime, LeAnne said, we want to make sure that we are able to find opportunities in the midst of a storm. So she talked about the analogy of getting into real estate, in 2008, 2009, and then again at the height of the pandemic. So being able to really find the opportunities in the midst of the storm, and recognize that the people you surround yourself with should be a part of your tribe to help you grow and be better, and also identify those opportunities. Be grateful, regardless of the opportunity or the experience that you have in life. Gratitude is so important and helps you to continue to climb, but also helps you to look back and recognize the road from where you have come. Focus on the ability to continue to find opportunities to collaborate with others, right? It's not a one-man band. This is not about a one-person show. It's about the we in things. You can do whatever you want to do, and that your success is totally on you. I love that you said that. That talks about owning our own stuff, right? If you want to be successful, if you want to climb, if you say that it's important to you, you have to own it, because your success and the ability for you to succeed is not in the hands or the mercy of anyone else. Take the reins. It's on you. Every human being has a skill set that is uniquely your own. So find yours. What is your skill set? What is that one thing that you can do so well that no one else can top you in? Find yours, be comfortable walking in it, because again, your success is on you. Don't limit yourself because of the standards or viewpoints of anyone else. Recognize that you have the ability to put blinders on and move forward. Feelings are just that. They're feelings. They're not the truth. But those feelings do help you to identify with truth, right? Being able to dig behind the feelings to say, well, why am I feeling the way that I am? But also recognizing that it is just a feeling. It's not fact. So find the facts amidst your feelings. Gratitude, generosity, confidence, being patient, and humility. Key aspects for success, not only in real estate, but in any industry or relationship. Be grateful for what you have, where you are, how you have arrived to the position that you are, whatever the road is that you are in. Be grateful of that. Be generous enough to share the wealth of knowledge, resources, and experiences that you have gained with other people. Recognize that you are enough, and that's that confidence that you exude, but also having confidence in the process that you're on. Right. Be patient to know that some things just take time. Even in today's microwave society where we want everything now, in order for things to reach its point of maturation, patience, it just takes time. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Give it a little bit of time. And also be humble enough to learn along the way. Be humble enough to ask questions, to make mistakes, to forgive yourself even along the way as well. Be the oil. Be comfortable being the lubricant, being able to keep that going. And for companies to recognize that in order for them to be successful, integrity is so important. Accountability as well as respect, and being comfortable doing what is right over profits, being comfortable with doing what is right and allowing that to take precedence with how you instill those beliefs in the people that are a part of your organization. Seek ways to create a bridge from older generations to younger generations so that we don't have to start over, right? So that we can take the wisdom and continue the generational knowledge transfer, such as that can be called as a part of transition planning as well as succession planning. And then lastly, LeAnne said, authenticity opens doors. And I love that, because what that does is it gives you the permission to be your authentic self, even in the face of what anyone else says, even in the face of the social media aspects of wanting to put on a facade. No, be your authentic self. People want to connect with you, the real you, who you are at the end of the day, and the core of how God made you. So hopefully with everything that we've talked about, you gained something. We've heard that Brenda said it was powerful, authenticity, insightful. Thank you all for your comments. And as you continue to see this and listen in, please feel free to leave your comments there. LeAnne, wow, what an amazing time this has been. It went by so fast.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. I've had a blast.
It has truly been a great time. I thank you for all that you do in the community to continue to impact the lives of so many other people. And thank you for continuing to be on the path as another esteemed and exceptional woman with grit.
Thank you. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, have a wonderful night, guys. Again, if you know of anyone who could utilize this information, be sure to share this. Otherwise, we will catch you next week at the same time and location with another amazing woman with grit. Again, be grateful and also have a wonderful Thanksgiving or whatever holidays you are celebrating this week. And we'll see you again next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.